demonstrate to them our skill. Albeit they possess the might, nonetheless we have the will. How we will celebrate our victory. We shall invite the whole team up for tea. How jolly. Hurl that spheroid down the field and fight, fight, fight.
Hello, everybody. This is Finding My Audience with Alan Strickland Williams. You're the audience. That was Tom Lair. That was Fight Fiercely Harvard. I'll explain the reasoning behind picking that song in a minute here. First, I just want to say hi. I want to check in. I want to say, what have you been up to? I want to know how your summer's been. Yeah, I look a little different. We'll get to that more too. Um, but how's the summer going? Are you keeping it easy? Low stress? You trying to stress less, or are you thinking it's hot out? I might as well get as hot as I can. Might try to heat things up. Try to get more irons in the fire. You never really know what to do. I'm trying to take it kind of chill. I'm trying to take it easy these days. Had a pretty okay week. Just did work. Work was kind of whatever. Kind of busy. Um, and then let's see. I got to see Quasi, the band. I saw them at the Troubadour. Hadn't been to the Troubadour in a minute. Very cool. Um, that's like, I think like that's where, isn't that where Elton John kind of got his, um, like real like that was like his launch pad of his career in the States, I believe. Um, and then I think there's some Bob Dylan show that was there too that was like important. I don't really know. Whatever the fuck. I know that the show I saw was great. Quasi is great. They're a divorced couple, but they're in a band, and they're fantastic. They were playing their album featuring birds. Listen to it. It's on the streaming stuff. Listen to California. California is, I think, of just maybe one of the best songs ever written. Never Want to See You Again. Ape Self Prevails in Me Still. That whole album is great. They've got a lot. They've got Laissez Les Bon Temps Roulé on. What's that one on? American Gong, maybe. But yeah, check them out. They're great. I went with my friend Megan. Um, we had a great time. It was it was emotional in a very positive way. Just sort of them talking about this album came out in like 2000, and I guess it was kind of like I don't know why they really did it. By the You see it a lot though these days, where it's like a band will be like, we're just gonna play this album, and it's like amazing, awesome. I That's like that's so perfect. And he Sam Coombs, the singer, songwriter. I mean, they both. It's such a duo, like project, but he was saying that he doesn't like to look backward. He likes to keep moving forward and just making stuff. And it was just sort of like, oh, he was getting emotional talking about seeing how much this album means to people. And it been a lot. I'm sure it meant a lot to everyone there. It was a great time. Had a Coca Cola, fantastic. Let's see what else. Oh, you know what I did that was really really fun. I went to this thing called the Garibaldina Garibaldini Society. Let me look it up. Actually, it's apparently the Garibaldina Society. It's an MB, mutual benefit. What does that mean? Let me look it up. MB Society, meaning. This is not helping. Muslim Brotherhood is not the Muslim Brotherhood. It's basically like back in the day, you would do a thing like you would have this club, and so like you would pool your resources to like help if someone maybe someone's out of a job, or someone is has a big expense that they need to pay for. You pull your resources together, you take care of each other, and I guess that they were doing these things called pasta platters, which I ran into a friend Amy there, and she said it's like a wedding without a wedding, and I think, or maybe someone else said that too, but it's like they have a live band, good food. It's like a pasta platter, so it's like what, like a roll, a salad, some meatballs, some actual pasta. There's like wine. There's a bar. There's a really cool bar. It's this building. It's in Highland Park, I think, and I guess it's the oldest active Italian society in. And I'm not laying claim to the culture. I'm not Italian, but it was so much fun. I mean, I love Italian food. I dated a couple of Italian women. Put me under a bridge a couple times, but fantastic. And like I do remember like doing a lot of Sunday dinners, family dinners, whatever, and it is just such a good feeling. It's and they have let's see, it's the oldest active club in the country. It's also the um, oldest dance floor in LA, I believe. And so there's dancing's a big part of it. Anyway, it was super fun. I'm glad I got to do that. Let's see, what are we doing now with the rundown? And did you see me? I flashed these. I flashed the rules. I am glad I did this. I think it's smart because I'm dumb and I need it. So thank you, past me, for helping now me out. Really appreciate that. You're a cool guy. I think you're cool. And if I hear people talking about you, I'm going to say you've done cool stuff for me personally, at least. Okay, so we got to call out my new Patreon. Always when I'm getting kind of down with this whole situation, something does happen that kind of like, oh, people are listening or people are responding. Got a new Patreon. Welcome to the FMA Army. We can workshop that, by the way. Um, Steve, welcome. It really does mean a lot. Anyone that wants to join in, now would be a great time. I'm trying to figure out how to use all this fancy shit that I just got, and use that to bring in guests to make it a bigger, fuller show. But yeah. Oh, speaking of the Patreon, so this kind of ties into maybe, oh, why is he dressed like this? Um, Another of our Patreon members, Liz, said she wanted to hear more Florida stories. So, hey, it's the Florida episode, and a happy Jimmy Buffett to you. I'm wearing a romper here. I got this for a trip to Mexico, but as you can tell, I think it very is. I think it very is Florida, which is that's actually how they speak down there. So I'm actually doing good there. But yeah, it's the Florida app. We'll do some Florida jokes. We'll do some Florida stories, and I want to thank ahead of time Bryce, our Hank Hill caller. Uh, he just randomly on Twitter, I think, was like, "Hey, are you doing those call-ins, whatever?" And I'm like, I wasn't gonna post the number because I was like, "Oh, I think we'll have enough to talk about." Um, but since he asked, I was like, "Yeah," and we're doing. I gave him the number, and he's like, "Free form or what?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna talk about Florida. So if you have any Florida stuff." So he left, I think, 5 or 6 voicemails later. We'll listen to those. I don't know what's on them. I don't like. I try not to for videos and stuff that I see. Stuff I've seen around the internet that obviously I've seen before, and then I'm playing it for you guys. But for this stuff, I really do like to just not have any idea going in. So that'll be fun for both of us. Let's see what else. New segment. Look out, new segment. New segment. I watch it so you don't have to. Let's call it that. How about that? I saw that the Hawk Tuah girl was on Club Random with Bill Maher, and first of all, that's a great sign that it's over. Like the whole thing is over. Um, but oh, did I not actually plug this in? Ooh, I hope that's not a problem. Well, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. I'll find an appropriate place to stop, and then we will. But yeah, Hawk Tuah on Mar. Basically, what happened was, um, it almost humanized her too much because it was like I think what kind of happened for at least what it feels like is like, oh, it was like it was like it was like really funny, like right away, and then it was like I still think kind of undeniably funny for like a lot longer after I saw people being like, I'm done. I'm like, you're not fun is what you are. Like that's actually what was going on there. But At this point, it's like, okay, then you find out like, oh, they're, they get like agents, whatever the fuck. It's like, okay, whatever. Now it's kind of all tainted by the bullshit. But it was kind of funny because we don't know anything about this person, and it came out that her mom was like a crackhead or something. So that unfortunately humanized the Hawk Tuah girl a little bit. I think her name's Haley or something. Um, but yeah, so that was interesting. So I watched that, so you don't have to. That's just so you know what's going on with Hawk Tuah. Let's see. I've got some videos I want to play for y'all. Um, let's start. I don't know if anyone watched that dumb surprise episode, but oh, you know what? Let's take a breath for one moment. Let me just plug in this thing so the video doesn't die. Did the camera move a little bit? It probably did. I tried to be really deft with the cable. You know what? Check your cables, dude. We're putting a new rule down. Check cables. Dope. The seven commandments. Okay. And we're back. Sorry, I had to fix it again because it was definitely, I was like looking at the phone. I was like, this is not straight. It was like that crooked. So got some videos to watch. I don't know if anyone checked out that surprise upstairs episode I did, but I did have a Jeremy Fragrance video on that. If you don't know Jeremy Fragrance, vaguely Eastern European accent, perfume influencer. And he recently found Jesus Christ and let him into his life. So that was interesting. I didn't know that yet. But anyway, I found this and I just wanted to share it with you all.
Guys, Saddam Hussein was wearing this fragrance oil. And it smells very strong and dominant and also a bit floral. So now I know how the fragrance of Saddam Hussein smelled. It smells rich, dominant, and floral. Rich in the meaning of rich as a...
That was all that the video had. So anyway, that was great. Thanks for watching that with me. That was like this week, so maybe we'll just keep checking in with Jeremy Fragrance. And then so here's this thing. I was one of my favorite things to do is to just be a little, hey man, a little like that, and just click around on the internet, see where, read Wikipedia, whatever. This is what I did when I was like younger too. Even before I was getting, hey man, what's up? Before that, I was I was always clicking. I was always out there clicking, looking for something to click. And so I was reading something about sort of pioneers in television. I came across this guy Ernie Kovacs, who was a comedian, and then I came across this um, documentary that someone made about him, and it just made me laugh so much because it was introduced by this guy named John Barber who produced the movie, and it was set in like a TV control room, and it was like the quality was bad. This was like on YouTube, or not bad, but the quality was just of that time, like, and it hadn't been preserved correctly or whatever, or it was like from a just a not high definition source, and it literally was like, this is the most state of the art control center TV center in the world, and he literally did a thing where like he like pulled a lever on something, and he was like, and it has the special effects that can automatically, or like you press a button and they do this, and like you press the lever, and then it was like maybe one of the like old style like transitions of like it just zoomed in really big or something, and it was like, wow, okay. But anyway, that just made me laugh, and then I saw that it was this guy John Barber, and so I just punched his name into YouTube and found a video from like, how can I just find it? Let me just search for, oh wait, it's right here. Found from July 4th, 2024, from this year. This is from John Barber's World. It's called John Barber, America's Epitaph. I'm only going to play you the beginning part of it. but mainly just to show you this guy. And wow, he's got 5.69 subscribers. Hell yeah, John. Hey, send something my way. Um, but anyway, here's John Barber. I isolated the part I wanted to listen to. Let me. Okay, here we go. John Barber, America's Epitaph. Just wait until you get a look at this guy.
Hi there. This is John Barber. Happy 4th of July, the birth date of the USA, Neil Simon, and Meyer Lansky, which says it all about our country in a nutshell. So now let me read you a couple of short poems that make me now feel that I am living in a living hell. In a few weeks, on the 24th of July, is a happening in D.C. that makes me cry. War criminal Netanyahu speaks on the Hill. An invitation by Biden that makes me truly ill.
So that was just the beginning of it. If you want to check that out, just look for John Barber. Follow John Barber. We're gonna check in more with John Barber throughout the show. Not this episode, but throughout the run of the show. I'm just trying to see what's out there. Show you guys some cool stuff, some slick stuff. Did you guys ever see that? Maybe I'll play that next time. There's this Garth Brooks post to like Facebook Live, maybe back like forever ago, and it's just him in a hotel room, and it's like when all that stuff kind of first started happening and celebrities started doing it, and he was like, I'm trying to get in touch with you guys, like I want to talk about cool stuff, slick stuff. He said slick stuff, so that's what I think slick stuff is apparently. But anyway, I think, let's see, that takes us to played the thing, cool, and let's see, let's do some Florida jokes. Florida, a lot of people don't really understand what Florida's all about. So I have this analogy I like to use. If America is the Walmart, okay, then Florida is one of those McDonald's inside the Walmart. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. That's like the bathroom inside the McDonald's inside the Walmart. Water's always overflowing and Limp Bizkit's always playing. It's a very aggressive bathroom situation. Jacksonville's kind of interesting because Jacksonville is the northernmost part of the state of Florida, but it's actually super southern in culture. Like all my family are rednecks. I was raised Southern Baptist. But if I ever say that I'm from the South and someone from like Alabama or Georgia hears me say that, they go, Florida, that ain't the South. You guys know how bad your state has to be for the South not to want it? That's where Florida's at. That's cool. Yeah, those are the jokes. Those are the Florida jokes. You might hear those on the album. You might have seen those before. Actually, wait, did I do that on anything? I can't. Oh wait, I think maybe that was in. Maybe that wasn't something. Maybe it's in something that's not online anymore though. How about that? Try to get as much life out of your jokes as you can. It's worked for so many comics, so make it work for you. But yes, this is the Florida episode. Thanks to Liz' suggestion. Join the Patreon, man, because if you send me, like, she sent me a message like that, this episode, at least a big bulk of it, geared directly towards her in that request. So I'm just saying, you want to steer this ship, be my guest. We can, and we'll have fun, and we're gonna have fun. I'm trying to think of the stories I want to tell. First we got a fake ad read. Let's do a fake ad read. Let's see. Okay, this is written directly from the CEO of this company, it looks like. So just letting you know, not my words. Here we go. Hi, this is Bob from Bob's Shoes. Bob's Shoes, not Tom's, Bob's. For every one pair of shoes you buy from Bob's Shoes, we donate 2 pairs of shoes to starving people in developing nations, or whatever it says. It's set up or whatever. Okay, then it says, you hear that, Tom? 2 pairs. How many do you give? Still just 1? That's what I thought, you pathetic, wet piece of shit. Fuck Tom. Fuck Tom's. Fuck you. Bob rules. Okay. Yeah, maybe we're pretty aggressive for the copy, but we always appreciate the fake ad read. So thank you, Bob's Shoes, and get Bob's Shoes. That's pretty cool that they do two and not just one. So maybe Tom sucks for real. I don't know. But anyway, let's see. Let's do some Florida stories, and then we'll jump into those voicemails. Um, One thing I saw in Florida that I always think of whenever people ask me about Florida, this is what I always think of. I was driving on some country road wherever, and there was a Walgreens or whatever. It was raining. I'm at a red light behind a car, and it's raining, not like crazy thundering, but it's raining like it's not misting. It's like it's raining. And what happens is the car in front of me, the light turns green. They don't move. What happens instead is the um, driver side rear door swings open, and just a little fat boy wearing just whitey tighties runs out into the rain, and runs into Walgreens. And then the car with the door open drives away. And then I was just like, yeah, that's Florida. That boy is going to become the manager of that Walgreens. That boy lives at that Walgreens now. That's how that works. That's one of my favorite. It's not one of my favorite Florida memories, but I do. I do think of that often for some reason. I'm trying to think. My favorite Florida memories are like listening to Talking Heads and driving around during the summer when like between school years. That was maybe like, and maybe you only get to do that once 1 year or something. But it was for whatever reason Talking Heads, and it was like the albums that a lot of people didn't like or thought were like bad. That I was like, I don't know, they kind of work with all this. Like that song Nothing But Flowers, like always really reminds me of Florida. Like for some reason, I think it's just because there are so many parts of Florida that look like it's like part Jurassic Park, but there's a Walmart there. Like it's completely overgrown and swampy, but the signs of like people moving there for, cheap property, cheap, no state income tax, all that good shit. Um, that it's like a weird half nature, half completely man-made operation they got going down there. Florida, what else? Obviously, it's like the theme parks. We were close enough to Orlando where it's like you could go and drive back, and like it wasn't crazy to do that. Um, but a lot of times you just, especially if like maybe you're home visiting, but and you're not like an adult yet, but you're excuse me, but you're not like. Let me actually write that down so I can just around 27. Let's put it in the thing. Around 27. Come back in. And we're back because I just coughed and it sounded gross, so I didn't want to do that. Um, Going down to like a theme park with some friends and getting just like so like it's like you're home from college or something and you're hanging out and you all get together to see each other, and but you go and then you just like you get so drunk in the parking lot, and then it's like especially if it's summer, then you're like puking on Space Mountain or whatever. But that's very Florida. I always remember ditching school. There was like a brief time where I would ditch school to go surf. I only did that a couple times, but that felt very Florida. I'm trying to think of like places I always remember. There's a place I used to live outside of or in Gainesville, Florida, which is where the University of Florida is. It's where Tom Petty's from. It's very like it's also very southern, like Jacksonville is. That wasn't just a joke. Maybe even a little bit more because outside Jackson, it's kind of similar vibe. North Central Florida. But what I remember in Gainesville was there's this place called, was it called the Devil's Mill Hopper? The Devil's Mill. It sounds like a thing that's in like every horror movie. Let's see, Devil's Mill Hopper Geological State Park. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, so Florida is sits on a natural aquifer, which means like it's a bunch of limestone, I think, and it kind of serves as a filter for the water that is underneath that, and then it's like that's why Florida has a lot of springs and things like that. Um, but because of that, there's also a ton of sinkholes, and sinkholes are pretty scary. Actually, they sound funny, but people like lose their whole house. I mean, people literally will, like, they're in bed, they're sleeping, sinkhole, never see them again. They're, you know. But anyway, so there's this big giant one that happened like however many forever ago, um, and it formed this huge crater that is called Devil's Millhopper. You walk all the way down, and it's like then there's like water down there, and I think you can go down there and like scuba down there. Maybe that sounds absolutely terrifying to me, but I did love just walking down that thing, and like you just look up and you're just in. You're just in what looks like, it does look like Jurassic Park. I'm sorry, it just is. It is like that. Here's a sort of family story about Florida. So my grandfather was a Southern Baptist minister. That's a whole other thing. Um, and he got ran out of the church that he built because in like the late 80s, mid 80s, whenever the Reagan stuff was going on, also what was happening was like the Republican Party was really aligning with the Southern Baptist ministry, the church, and preacher preachers were getting very like political and brazen about that, and so like my grandfather didn't want to do that. He wanted to be more on the gentler side, and so for that reason they were like, you're out. So they got rid of him, and my uncle prayed like every night. He was like he was young, he was probably maybe, I don't know exactly how old he was, but I think he was probably still in high school, if not earlier. He said he would pray for the church to burn down, and 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 he prayed and he prayed and he prayed, and God answered his prayer during some storm or thunder, whatever. It got struck by lightning and it burned down, and they heard that he like somehow he got word that it was burning down, and the Baptist church, First Baptist Church, was across from a Wendy's, and so Uncle Andy went to Wendy's and got a Frosty and watched the church burn down, which I just think is a um, great story. But yeah, so that, I feel like that's kind of a good sort of representation. Oh, and the other thing I was going to talk about was the first thing I saw on my first day of high school. Pretty much my whole life, I went to schools incredibly close to where I lived, which was great for me because I've always been a mess with waking up and getting to do whatever I need to do. Excuse me. So I went through. I When it came time to high school, I lived right next to the high school that my dad went to. Other Florida story: Leonard Skinner's from Jacksonville. My dad at Orange Park High School had the guy that Leonard Skinner was named. He had Leonard Skinner as his PE coach. So that's pretty Florida, I guess. But anyway, so I was supposed to go to OP, and I was so stoked. It was literally like, I'm not even joking to you. It's like right there, like right out there. Like we lived in some weird old people like thing, and like it was right there. It was right next to there, to the high school, and I was so stoked for it. But then I had to go to some other school for some reason, um, out closer, like literally on the line before it turns into Middleburg, which is like pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's like on the way more rural end. I don't know what it's like now, but that high school was like, I think, surrounded on three sides by trailer parks. it was just a little more country, and I went out there, and I do remember the first day when like you're allowed to kind of like there's a cafeteria, but then you can see you can eat outside. I would like eat outside, and I just remember seeing two guys, both wearing overalls. One guy, one big guy, cowboy hat, little guy, like scrawny guy. Big guy, scrawny guy. It was like that. And big guy has scrawny guy like flipped upside down over a trash can, just shaking him. And the little guy's going, Jesus, put me down. Jesus, put me down. And the big guy goes, Jesus ain't gonna save you, son. Jesus ain't gonna save you, son. And I was just like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get the fuck out of here. So I did, and happy story, happy ending. Damn, I really should have brought water. You know what? We got a new rule. 8, bring water. Damn, look at that. We got 2 new rules. This whole thing is like coming up with new rules. New rule. How about we don't spit on that thing? New rule. Should have done that earlier. That would have been fun. Okay, so let's see. Let's jump into these voicemails. I just gotta thank Bryce again. I don't even know if he listens. In fact, I hope he doesn't. I hope he just calls in and leaves us stuff. Like I said, I haven't heard anything. I do hope that this starts again with a beer being opened. But it is. I did just really like that. I was like, oh, cool. We've got plenty of stuff to work with. So anyway, this is Bryce calling in. And also, just for the future, the number is 323-457-0032. Again, that's 323-457-0032. And now, call in, leave whatever. But anyway, here's Bryce.
All right. It is a temperate, getting cooler summer evening.
Okay, by the way, for here, it's Sunday. It's 8 p.m. It is 70 degrees. So let's see. Let's get back to Bryce.
Here, and I'm enjoying an Estrella Jalisco. It's a Cerveza Dorado from Guadalajara Desde, and that means from. If anybody's out there using Duolingo, Desde means from the year 1910.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty good. They sponsor the Dodgers.
Okay.
And let's get about as opposite from Southern California as you can get within the continental U.S. and talk about Florida.
Sure.
Florida made popularized by such media as Florida by Modest Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And Scarface.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. Al Pacino and the guy from Full House just making strange decisions the whole time. My ex loved Scarface for some reason. It was like one of her comfort movies. Maybe back to L.A. from this. My ex was from Palmdale, and for some screwy reason, her mother, didn't want her to see like sex in movies, but like violent stuff was fine. He'd get her like Scarface.
That's like America in a nutshell.
It's on VHS, the hand that rocks the cradle. That's all fine. Well, let's think of some Florida-specific stories. And I don't know. I had gone to Florida a few times in my youth.
Okay.
For different school stuff.
That's one thing I was going to say too. One thing I remember about Florida, my role in Florida, kid who got sunscreen in his eye. Every time I went to the beach, a theme park, day out, whatever, if there was sunscreen, and if I still had my eyes, which I did, I get that sunscreen in them. I remember one time, literally, and it was like kind of early on when they started doing the spray kind. I remember looking at it and going, huh, and then like just without thinking, pressing it, and literally like spraying my eye with sunscreen. So that's maybe a cosmic thing. Anyway, thanks for jogging that, Bryce.
I was in the band, a few other different things, and I had transferred high schools my senior year, which was pretty relaxed. Nobody even knew who I was, any of that, and pretty big into smoking cigarettes at the time.
Cool.
And so I got sent with the band to Disney World, and just a bizarre place. I just like walking around Margaritaville trying to get an irresponsible adult to buy me a beer. I don't even know what I was thinking at the time. Just having a good time, I guess. But I was one of the accolades in one of those Disney parades.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see the parade, and I assume I never went to one.
So these are all going to cut off like that because I think he just kind of goes and then. But anyway, Bryce, man, he just goes. Two things. What you weren't thinking, Florida was thinking for you. The Florida was taking over in those moments. This happens a lot in Florida. And that's funny that you mentioned the thing about Disney World because we would always be. I was in the chorus in high school. We would go down and they think we did it every year. We sang as part of the like Christmas winter holiday thing, and there'd always be like a speaker that would do like the Bible story reading. One time it was Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince. That was pretty cool. But and one time John Tesh was playing with it, like he was doing the music part of it, and then it's like they released Doves. It was at Epcot every year. Drinking around the world at Epcot is fun. Anyway, I think there might have been something else I meant to say, but I don't remember it. So let's just jump into his next call.
I don't know if that last voicemail was trash. We can try it again, or maybe you can chop and screw it together like a Houston DJ.
I thought about doing that, but then I was like, no, that's too much work. I want to just listen to it. I just want to go through all of it.
Okay, the topic is Florida, so let's light a cigarette for Florida. I mean, that's their state motto, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
And what are some good Florida facts? The ocean water is warm on the East Coast, which I did not know. I've talked to some West Coast people that ooh.
It's warmer than the Pacific on the East Coast. Where it's really warm is the Gulf of Mexico on the western side of Florida and the southern side of the Panhandle.
They're warm bathwater water at the beach. So, kind of neat. Let me see. What else is it? I don't know what I would do if I was in Florida. Hot, humid.
The heat is insane. I mean, the heat is crazy. The heat will eventually drive everyone that lives there absolutely nuts, and it will be very, very bad, and it will be cataclysmic on a regional scale. We're not quite there, but we're getting there very soon.
Strange policies.
Strange Policies is a great band out of Gainesville.
I mean, I don't want kids, so, grinding down the educational system, it's just another nail in the coffin of a vasectomy whenever the state decides to pay for it. Really there. I think the only thing that they have going for them, you can probably get an alligator to grill, which...
Alligators are everywhere. I used to run cross country, and it was not uncommon to be running on the trail and then just literally run into an alligator, and then you back away. But yeah, I've had alligator tail, not too bad.
Up there on things that you could grill, an alligator would be crazy. I would grill a gator. In fact, I don't know what in honor of Florida cigarette was going out. It had to stop, take a drag. this is a little un-Florida related. You know, France, I saw a little bit of the opening ceremony just because I don't care about it at all. And I was so disappointed that they didn't light the big torch thing with a cigarette.
That's good.
It's a shame, a missed opportunity.
That is a missed opportunity.
Maybe I'm just glad they didn't make me plan that opening ceremony. Like, I would have had them, light 100 cigarettes off the Olympic torch.
That's great, man.
And, run up with them the last 50 feet and, throw them into the fire with the other torch thing, like a bonfire with your friends. And it's, it's neat to see your friends at a camping situation, something like that, because everybody that's very big on composting, they are the ones who are throwing garbage into an open flame when drunk. And I think that's fascinating. Other missed opportunities.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Well, other missed opportunities with the Olympics. I would have probably had a lot of slapstick humor, maybe in a tribute to what is Peter Sellers, one of the best Pink Panther. And I'm sorry, Steve Martin, but Peter Sellers he did it up with that. I would have.
By the way, am I hearing birds in the background?
Done that. I'm sure that the fanfare is great. I'm probably not going to watch a lot of the Olympics. I had a way that I was going to tie it back to Florida, but I forgot what it was in calling back. We could just head back to Florida. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Okay. So if you're having a real hankering for some Floridian action after this podcast, I assume, because you want them to listen to the rest of the show. They're going to want to watch the older movie Key Largo.
Oh, I don't know this movie.
Based on a play.
Okay.
And so, let's just talk about this movie. It is fantastic. It's two guys have gone to war together. I think maybe World War I, probably, because it's based on a play. And what happens is his war companion, he's died, he's passed away, and so the movie opens with the main character. He's going down to Florida to talk to the guy's father who runs a hotel in Key Largo, and so he's going there. They meet up, they talk about, it's so great. They go back to the hotel, and then there's all this tension because I suppose what's happened is a string of gangsters have taken
If I had chopped and screwed this, I would have chopped and screwed this part down a little bit.
over the hotel to have it as their kind of hiatus rendezvous point with, I think it's maybe the Chicago Mafia,
As you do.
or somebody like that. They're coming down to help them do this large counterfeiting scheme, because this guy has been on the run from the U.S. government. He fled the country to Cuba, and back before we had the tensions between Cuba and stuff, you get a ferry boat from there and Florida all the time, or just kind of willy-nilly drive your vehicles everywhere. But that has since changed.
I still don't think you can drive your vehicle to Cuba.
All right, so the idea of the film, though, what really makes it interesting is all this is happening, and amongst all that tension is a hurricane is coming.
How can I forget about hurricanes? Hurricanes, do we have hurricane parties? Sure. Were you told relentlessly not to step in the water because it could be a power line in there and you die instantly? Did we say, fuck that, we're doing that anyway? All the time. That's how it went. I remember when they teach you what hurricanes are, and I guess you kind of know what they are already too. But like when you get to that point in class, I remember being like, "Yo, so why do we?" I don't know if I said "yo" in third grade or fourth grade, but I definitely was like, "So if there's hurricanes, why do we live here?" And they didn't have a good answer for that. So
Unexpectedly, nobody knows that it's coming. The weather reporting isn't up to date in that fashion. But it's a good time. I love older films. I imagine if let's pause for a beer crack.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
But I imagine
Thank
if
you.
I got sent to Florida to die there, retired in the humidity, I would just watch old films, maybe do some dock fishing, something like that.
This just jogged my memory too. You know, whenever a thing goes around on social media that's like, what was the incident at your high school? Well, a lot of moments of inappropriate relationships between staff and students. I think that goes without saying in Florida. But what also happened was this was my senior year, in between periods, classes, whatever. And we had trailers in Florida too. I don't know if I'm always, especially in California, I'll drive around and it'll be like the most, maybe not a great neighborhood, whatever, but the school still looks like when you saw a movie as a kid and you saw the school was like made of brick and like with levels. Florida's just like maybe they have one or two buildings and it's like you go to a trailer like a little like trailer box, which is just like yeah you really don't give a fuck about what this is right if you're doing that. But so in between, there there's just these lines of trailers with just like cement that would go out, and in between these rows, apparently one day, I think it was between first and second period too, a kid just was the like sucker punched another kid. Excuse me, he did it so hard, the other kid basically like his head hits the ground, he's dead. Obviously a big deal. And then like the rumor that went around, excuse me, Jesus, was, excuse me, Jesus. The rumor that went around was, oh, the one kid, I guess it was like over a girl or something. The one kid, when he found out that the other guy had like been going out with the girl or whatever, he was like, oh, I'm gonna kill that dude. And so because of that, it was premeditated. So it was first degree murder. So he's getting the electric chair. Old Sparky, they called it in Florida. That part wasn't true. It was really, really bad and crazy. But it's so funny too. It's so bad and crazy that a lot of times when people talk about that, I like will comment or like I've talked about it in like with people, and everyone's like that's it's like when you say something that you're like you're so used to because you lived through it or whatever, and then clearly it's like oh everyone here has never gone through something like this or whatever. There've been a couple moments like that where I'm like oh yeah I forgot how crazy Florida is, and again the heat. All right, let's see, we've got two more from Bryce.
Hey there, I'm back. Okay, let's see. What? Okay, I was Googling shit, and now this one is switched back from speakerphone in case it's messing with your thing. I don't even believe this because I was like I run out of Florida facts. I gotta have something to like kind of close it all out, tie it all back together, and I just don't even know if I believe this. I thought it was like, yeah, what are Florida facts? And gave me a bunch of uninteresting stuff. And I was like, what's their state motto? I could probably talk about that for another 2.5 minutes or something. Kind of like reel it all back. That's a fishing on the dock of Florida, dying in the humidity reference.
Yeah.
Anyway, their state motto is, "In God We Trust." I don't believe that at all. They ripped that off a dollar bill.
Yeah, that's more like in Jimmy Buffett we trust.
I guess their state's kind of known for a lot of people doing ridiculous stuff. So you see a guy like drunk with a handgun, riding an illegally modified lawnmower down the interstate. I mean, I guess you look at that and you're like, well, you know what they say in our state, in God we trust. I don't know. But, East Coast humidity is just so terrible that
That's awful. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to this country.
you know, I feel sorry in a way.
Maybe not, but it's pretty bad.
And you know, I spent some time growing up in West Virginia, and I'm kind of like, I'm happy for Florida existing because you know, like, things were kind of messed up in West Virginia socioeconomically, stuff like that. But a lot of people around there, they'd be like, well, at least it's not Florida. Well, if
Fair.
you're listening in Florida or wherever, maybe down by Dodger Stadium enjoying an Estrella Jalisco from Guadalajara desde un mil novecientos diez años, whenever they were founded. Man, that Duolingo bird, he's going to come and kill me in the night. I'm not doing great on those pronunciations. But boy, I hope you have a wonderful evening. I hope that this can be turned into something usable, or like a junk Honda, where you strip it down and use it for parts. But wherever you may be, have a wonderful evening, and if you can, check out Key Largo. It's a good time. My cousin's nephew or something. My nephew or something. My cousin had kind of looked like the villain in there. I didn't want to tell him because, you know.
Okay, one more, and it's not the full amount of time. Thank you for rocking with me on this, Bryce. Thank you for calling in. This is great.
All right. I thought it was the end, but it just dawned on me. You know, if there wasn't Florida, there's sometimes there's a bit of you know, the West Coast. You're like, what are they doing over there? Stuff like that. But hear me out, fans of the West Coast and maybe surfer music. If it wasn't for Florida, would we have Aruba, Jamaica? Ooh, I want to take you to Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama.
I will say I listened to this music a lot. I listened to that song specifically a lot as a child because I was like, yeah, this is very, very Florida.
Key Largo, great movie. Baby, why don't we go off the Florida Keys? There's a place called Kokomo. That's where you want to go to get away from it all. Bodies in the sand, tropical drink melting in your hand. We'll be falling in love to the rhythm of a steel drum band.
I wonder if this will be like a copyright thing.
So, like, next time your drunk uncle is really, really messy at your problematic Southern California get-together with your family, be like, well, wait. You know, sometimes not the best socioeconomic policies passed on a local level. But would we have that great Beach Boys song? Because that one is a banger. All right. Good night, y'all. Or good morning. Depends on when you listen to your podcasts. Goodbye.
Bryce, thank you for calling in. I appreciate that you have the listener in mind, as I try to do as well. That's the Florida episode. Thank you all so much for listening, for watching. Hope you watched. Hope you got to see the vibrant romper. But yeah, thank you guys very much. I'll try to figure out what the next one is and drop that line for some more calls. Don't have to make Bryce do all 6 of them. But yeah, thank y'all. Thank you. And thank you, Liz, for telling me what you wanted to hear, because it gave me something to work towards, which I like to do. All right. Thanks, y'all. Bye. Florida.